Welcome to Friday Takeaway. I'm Khoo Chong, of course, with Charlotte Chong. This is Friday Takeaway, and it's September the 23rd, 2016. Now, the central banks of Japan and the Americas were very vocal this week. That was why the markets were very quiet. Let's start with the Bank of Japan. They kept rates at negative 0.1%. Still not, the economy is still not as vibrant as they would like. And they also pointed out that they would not hesitate to keep reducing interest rates if necessary. The Federal Reserve is always in the news as well, right, Charlotte?
So what happened this week is Federal Reserve, they kept their rates steady at 0.25% to 0.5%, but it signaled that at the end of this year, it will actually raise rates by the end of this year. But after following the activity from America, we will see more activities from the central banks over the world. Probably in the Philippines, in Japan, we will see more activities in central banks, see whether they will actually increase interest rates or
we shall see, because the Federal Reserve was supposed to raise rates 4 times this year, only once as well in December 2015 and hopefully in 2016 December, but so far nothing.
Now, Federal Chair Janet Yellen, she is very positive of the market. She said that household income has grew steadily and expects the labour market to continue growing at a healthy pace this year.
So the other thing that spooked markets today was the fact that there were some explosions in New Jersey and New York, which later turned out to be homemade explosive devices, and there were some terrorist elements there. But of course, we wait on tenterhooks to see what else happens there. The other thing that was also in the news, Charlotte, was Brangelina splitting up.
Correct.
So
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, after 2 years of getting married together, they have 6 kids. 3 of them they are biological children. Jolie wants custody, and she will actually grant Pitt visitation rights. The thing is, they actually say that rumors have it that Brad Pitt was seeing this French actress, Marion Cotillard.
Yeah.
But Marion actually came to Instagram and she wrote a lengthy statement saying that she has nothing to do with Brad Pitt. She's having a second child with the boyfriend.
When in doubt, deny, just like in some countries. Okay, let's switch to some Malaysian news. And of course, we saw August car sales happening. They were quite a bit of a bounce. They jumped 2.1. In fact, total sales so far industry volume has dropped 2.14% on the year to 52,312 units. That's in August from a year ago. It's the 8th straight monthly decline.
But when
on
you
a
look
month-on-month basis, which is from July, there was a bit of a bounce thanks to the Beza and thanks to the Persona launches. But at the end of the day, car sales are still down in the country.
Yeah, correct. So when we look at July sale, it was down. So 23.2% from July sale actually increased. But not because of just new launches. We saw a longer working month as well in July. But when we look at Perodua launched Beza in the end of July, Proton launched Persona as well. Both of these cars, they are under C segment. We see a very steep competition in these two cars, these 2 new models. But I am more positive on Perodua because it has actually received 25,000 bookings to date as of August 30th.
Yeah. So, these are very major model launches for both national car makers, but you will not see this volume of car model launches every month for the rest of the year. So that's why it's a bit of an anomaly. Let's move along to Co-op, the Civil Service Pension Fund. Now, they've got 120 billion ringgit in AUM, and they've also said that the low interest rate regime in the country and as well in the world is going to be hurting returns. And actually, Dato Cheryl of EPF has said the same thing. So what they're going to do, they're going to double allocations in private equity from 2% last year to 4% this year, which is not a lot by the sound of it, but it's outright terms, perhaps it's better in potential upside. And we saw them just last night talking about how they've taken a $30 million investment in Uber.
Correct.
In return for just 0.05% in Uber because of the $60 billion valuation. So, to me, that's not a bad deal because it's not a big portion of their fund. But if they do make a lot of money, it's going to be a big bounce. So a lot of upside, but limited downside.
So I had an interview actually with Co-op CEO a couple of days ago.
Dato' Wan Kamar Zaman.
Correct. So he said instead of meeting the government objectives, they will have to protect their interests. And he said that probably we will see more allocation in the non-fixed income segment.
Correct, non-fixed income and non-equity, because those are the most challenged sectors now, right?
Yeah. So even though Putrajaya has, urged EPF, Co-op, to bring back money to this country, to pump in more money into the domestic market, but they say they're not in a hurry to divest the assets overseas in the UK and in Australia.
Okay, we shall have to wait and see. Okay, GST collection as well. We saw how in the second quarter, GST collection actually dropped from about 10 billion ringgit to 7 billion ringgit. In percentage terms, it was a 30% decline. But we had the government come out to say, hey, it's okay, they're still going to meet the 39 billion ringgit GST collection this year. So we'll have to wait and see. I spoke to some tax consultants at Deloitte, and they say maybe it's an anomaly because sometimes in billing terms and in collection terms, there's a bit of a lag. So this could be an accounting thing. We'll have to wait and see, because the bigger picture, the more accurate picture will be on the full 12 months, full 4 quarters.
Now, this 39 million that you say just now, it
Billion.
will be useful. 30 billion ringgit will be
39
useful
billion,
to mitigating declines from Petronas revenue because of the ongoing oil and gas slump.
Correct.
And Petronas actually came out and say that just this week itself, it said that it's planning to cut more jobs in its public listed operations like Petronas Dagangan, Petronas Gas as well, after it reported in March that they have already cut about 1,000 jobs.
That's right. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, 1,000 jobs at Petronas is not a big deal, but it is just an ongoing reflection of the Malaysian energy markets. Now, just one more thing on the economy. Bank Negara said no, and for the third time straight, they said no to stretching home loans from 35 years to 40 years. I think that's a fantastic idea, because at the end of the day, when you stretch your mortgage tenure from 35 to 40 years, your cost of financing will go up again. It's a small reduction in your monthly installments, but it's going to be a big jump up in terms of your outright value of interest payments. So
basically,
not
it's not a good idea, because it won't make the monthly installment significantly lower. And in this country, it's not something like in Japan. They basically do the mortgages for 2 generations. The 2 generations actually help to pay the loans of the houses, but not in Malaysia.
Correct. So I think what the government really has to look at is reduce the cost of housing, as well as perhaps the cost of financing in interest rate terms. We'll have to wait and see. Now, very quickly on Bursa Malaysia, last week, Wednesday and Friday were both public holidays, so trade shortened week, but we still ended up today as at noon, 16 points higher, or just about 1%. So not much difference, and I think the markets were very quiet, as we said earlier, because of the central bank decisions.
Now it's traded at 1,668.62 points, week on week. Up a little bit, like what you say. Year to date, it actually dropped 2.11%. Research houses, I looked at some of the reports this morning, and they concur that KLCI will end this week higher, because they take positive cue from the Americans, from the Europe markets, because Federal Reserve, they say they are maintaining the interest rate at this point of time.
Absolutely. Okay, let's just end with a couple of quick active stocks. Now, the market is actually quite quiet, but the defensive sectors have actually seen a lot of activity. So I've chosen Pensonic. Pensonic is a Penang-based consumer electronics company. Not a fantastic firm, they've got a lot of volume, but not much by way of margins. But they've seen a big jump up in the share price, because in a week they've gone up by 13%. And this is, I think, because valuations are quite low, and it's quite a protected and discretionary, electronics market. So it's quite thematic.
So at 12:30, it's actually traded at 76 cents today. But I don't know if you realize this. Pensonic is actually a combination of Pen and Sonic to mean sound of Penang. Where you come
really?
from.
Is that right?
Yes,
No way.
correct. So Malaysia Consumer Sentiments Index actually rose for second quarter in the 3 months ended June. And stocks like the following also on a high, like clothing retailer Padina Holdings, Berhad, Brewer Heineken, Malaysia Brand, Nestle as well.
FNN. So all these defensive sectors are really flying. MYEG, the e-commerce, I think government rates payment platform, they've also been up 10% in the last week. They hit an all-time high of $2.41. To I think 12:30 today at break it was $2.30.
30 cents.
Now they haven't had much news flow, Charlotte. But they've been buying some property. I think they put the offices in, but not much else.
So they bought 7 stories nearby to our office. But I think it's probably a good company, because it actually helps everybody to renew licenses and do all these kind of operations.
You know why? Margins. Look at this slide. The latest year end to June, profit after tax was 143 million. Revenue was 282 million. That means their net margins are more than 50%. That is amazing. You know why? Because they're on e-commerce, you see. So everything they do is on e-commerce on the platform.
So they don't need a lot of staff to do all the job. So Kenanga research actually say that group share price underlying trend outlook was still positively intact. Share price is currently supported by key simple moving average SMA trend lines. Yeah,
and the other thing is that T.S. Wong is the CEO there. He's been known to make things happen. Okay, very quickly as well. Next week, not a lot of stuff happening. Friday, money supply, I think. And there's a couple of OPEC ministers meeting as well.
So we will wait and see if OPEC ministers, they will come together and decide whether they should actually cap the output of the oil.
Okay, well, but that's a wrap from us for this week for Friday Takeaway. If you want more, go to theedgemarkets.com or buy the hard copy papers in the Edge Financial Daily or the Edge Weekly. Thank you for watching. That was Charlotte Chong and I'm Khoo Chong. Thank you for watching. Good night and good luck.